Last issue, we saw Steve Austin hurling towards the earth in a fiery crash to his death. But now, what will be the fate of Steve Austin? Let us find out. Welcome back, my level 6 agents. Today, we start issue number 2 of the Bionic Man, entitled A Man Barely Alive. So let's get started. Everyone watches in horror as Steve's plane comes closer and closer to the ground and crashes. The emergency crews immediately rush over to where Steve is, wishing, hoping that he's still alive. Over at O.S.I, there's been talk about what's happened over the past 4 months at their bionics divisions, with the theft of their classified data and the bodies left behind. Now Oscar has made the suggestion that they build another. And Margaret turns and looks at Oscar and says, "We made this bed when we made that monster, and now we got to make another one?" And of course, the rest of the board is not happy with Oscar's suggestion, even Margaret, but she does realize that a conventional means of bringing down this man is not going to work. She says, "We sent a SEAL team of 4 after him, and we think that he ate them. We couldn't find any remains." So now Oscar reveals the name of this cybernetic madman to us. Hull. Yes, Hull. Thief, murderer, creation of O.S.I. So Margaret's final argument is, how can they protect the president? How can they protect anybody with Hull on the loose? So someone on the committee asked her a question. "Ma'am, will you be overseeing the selection process this time?" She says, "No, I'm leaving it to Oscar." Of course, the rest of the board doesn't like this, because they blame Oscar in the first place for selecting Hull and for the way that Hull turned out. Margaret states that she's just as blamed as much as Oscar is, and tells the rest of the board to get out so her and Oscar can talk. So her and Oscar talk about the next selection. But Oscar gives her a warning that prolonged use in the field can still result in another breakdown, physically and psychologically. But Margaret says, "No, not this time. We'll put in a failsafe. And if he goes rogue, we'll just shut him down." Oscar says, "Margaret, this is a man you're talking about." She says, "No, Oscar. We're talking about a machine. And machines can be turned off." Well, Oscar knows he's not going to get anywhere arguing with Margaret. And he receives a phone call. And he gets the news of Steve Austin. Oscar sees the crash. He runs up to the plane. He yells, "Why is he still in there? Get him out!" And General McClintock says, "Oscar, they're trying." Oscar asks what happened. But before he can get an answer, someone yells, "We're in!" Oh my God, I think he's alive. Meanwhile, in Omsk, Russia, an uncle and a nephew are discussing business at a tech factory. The nephew states that their output has tripled and the need for human workers has decreased by 18%, and that they've laid off 2,000 more employees in 16 plants. And the uncle says, "You talk about this with great pride." And the nephew says, "Well, our profits have gone through the roof." And the uncle says, "This is nothing to celebrate, depriving a worker of his livelihood. You do well to remember that." The nephew goes on to talk about science fiction and how they've turned science fiction into science fact, and that with this new chip that he's procured, that he will be able to go completely automated. And the uncle states, "Where did you get this miracle chip?" And the nephew states, "We have a man working for us, more or less." And the uncle says, I pray, nephew, that you do not place too much faith in machines. And the nephew says, never, uncle. Now, we return to Steve Austin, laying in the operating room, clinging to life, trying to get his heart going again. It looks hopeless. Oscar looks through the window, saying, come on, Rudy. One of the surgeons states that the subject's pulse is erratic. And Rudy responds, this isn't a subject, Carl. This one's more personal. We're going to save a friend. Now we see Hall sitting in a large room. He puts on a blindfold and says, come. Men wielding axes, swords, and knives come from everywhere. They try to attack Hall, but he's too fast. Even if the attack is successful, it has no effect on Hall. He merely uses their weapon against them. Hall's speed, his strength, can't be matched. And when he puts an end to his last victim, he merely says, lights. And when the lights come on, the nephew from the tech company is standing before him. So the nephew, Mr. Vernadsky, asks Hall, I trust your latest mission went smoothly? Hall says, missions go to Mars. This was a raid. You human beings waste a gift of imagination dreaming about money. Vernadsky says, well, I have this briefcase here with the $25 million you asked for. Everyone dreams about money. Money is power, Hall. Hall says money is a siren whose song's best ignored. Just ask them. Hall points over to all the bodies he just laid to waste. Hall walks over to the computer, gets some data, and throws it to Vernadsky. This is what you came for. Vernadsky asks, what about the subfusion chip? Doesn't exist. Your leads were wrong. Now leave the briefcase and get out. Vernadsky says, you order me in and out of this fortress of yours, as if I didn't pay for it. Hall says, people that stick around here either wind up dead or improved. If you're willing to volunteer, I'd be glad to have you. Vernadsky hands Hall the briefcase, and he says, I've included another $1 million in the briefcase. It's for my uncle. I'd like to have him killed. Hall says, I will kill your uncle free of charge, Vernadsky. Hall pushes a button and opens a door, and it's a room full of cybernetic men and test tubes. Hall says, one less of your kind means one more of us. Okay, agents, that will do it for issue number 2 of The Bionic Man. Tune in next time and we'll see what's happening with Steve. And why did Hall lie about the subfusion chip? All questions to be answered in the future. So as always, let's keep it classified.